I want you to have a free home. If you're a citizen of the state of Florida, I think you're entitled to a free home, free lot, free property. Why? Because there are tens of thousands of vacant lots and abandoned property all across this state. They've literally been abandoned by homeowners and the owners. And not only are they not being paid for, they are costing you, taxpayers, hundreds of millions of dollars in cities and counties all across the state of Florida. I've been at this concept for almost 10 years. I've developed strategies and tools and implemented those for cities and counties all across the state of Florida. And I've come to the realization, black and white, undisputed, that citizens of this state of Florida need to go back in, reclaim properties that have been abandoned. They've been abandoned. They're a drain on taxpayer resources. And frankly, if the foreign corporations and the entities that own these things don't want to be part of the solution, then we just need to go back and take them back. Now, this is a fantastic article right here. See that young guy in there? A few years ago, that's me. It's this extensive. It started out, I guess, as a hit piece when Miami Herald thought they were going to go and they were going to destroy this concept. They called it the foreclosure franchise, and there was one article after the other that you thought was, wow, going to be, jamming out and bad. But the reality is, after a year-long investigation into how cities have turbocharged foreclosures, they really couldn't find anything that was particularly explosive, if you will. Bluntly, they did public records hits all across the state. They looked at these. They asked me for comment. I gave a little bit of comment, but the reality was there was nothing that was explosive about this. This was just good legal process. They called it the highest calling. I like that when it starts out with me. It's true. I believe that my work in this regard, again, at that point in time, going back for years and now almost a decade, is the highest calling, because there is this deep proposition that the land, the dirt, the property that is within the state of Florida, that's within any city, within any county, I think it's the highest calling of a local government official, your council member, your mayor, to take that property that is within your city, it's up and down your street, and get it into the property rules. If a corporation is going to abandon that property and let it turn into blight, we're not going to accept that. The highest calling is that we're going to force that property owner that's abandoned that property to do something about it, to turn it into valuable and proper use. So I love this article. It goes on and on and on. This series, the foreclosure franchise. Fine, yeah, I franchise it. It's my franchise that I want to see property in the state of Florida turned back over to the citizens of the state of Florida. There's my old building there at 250 Mirror Lake. Um, they they talk about how I had this shift from defending homeowners to then going and filing foreclosure lawsuits. They talk about how I would sign additional contracts. There would be hundreds of cases filed. Wow, pretty graphics here. I forgot about how interesting the graphics were and how much they went into it. Fine. This gives some explanation of a financial boon for the cities. That's right. We generated hundreds of millions of dollars. We generated properties that were back onto the foreclosure roll. I encourage you to take a look at this. Over the past 8 years, Weidner has filed foreclosure lawsuits against more than 800 properties. And over again, we describe how this money goes back into the rolls. Now, the other side of it, and let's not run from it, the other side is, yeah, there were properties that people didn't like. There were people that didn't like getting foreclosed on. But you had an opportunity, and the opportunity was this: pay the money, bring the property back into compliance. They decide not to do so, and after they decide not to do so, it winds up on the foreclosure steps. This property here, Madeira Beach, was forced to be torn down. Yes, because it was a danger. It was a blight. So the important thing about this Miami Herald article, and I encourage people to dig into it, is that if you do not take care of your property, that property will wind up in foreclosure, and it will wind up onto the foreclosure auction site where somebody else may be able to bid on it. Let me see if I can grab this one. And just back to the top of this story, the foreclosure franchise, now more than ever in 2026, It's the time to revisit this concept, to go back in there and to turn properties into effective, powerful use to generate hundreds of millions of dollars for citizens all across this state and turn that property into housing.